Good evening. Welcome to the July 21st, 2026 Mount Lebanon Planning Board meeting. Call to order. Roll call. Dave Hornacek.
Here.
John Schrott here. Paul Ostergaard, absent. Matthew Clark.
Here.
Seth Davis.
You're online.
In terms of the municipal staff, Dan Dieseroth, the engineer.
Here.
Ian McMeans.
Here.
And Greg Warden. A brief statement on public comments. The Planning Board will accept public comments for each agenda item. Please note that a repetition of comments made by previous speakers is not necessary for them to be considered. If a group of residents shares an opinion, we suggest that you select a spokesperson. Public comments is not an appropriate time for prolonged debate or for personal comments about or questions directed to fellow residents, the board members, municipal staff, or any developer. In consideration of everyone's time, we encourage residents making public comment to refrain from repeating comments made by previous speakers. Zoom participants, if you wish to comment during public comment agenda items, use the raise hand function. During the public comment agenda item, the chair will recognize you. When recognized, be sure to unmute your line and announce your name and address for the record. If you have multiple or complicated comments, you're welcome to submit them to us in writing. We ask that you hold your remarks to 5 minutes and we'll let you know when your time is up. We appreciate your efforts to be respectful and ask that the audience refrain from any behavior that is disruptive or might intimidate free speech. First agenda item is approval of the meeting minutes of the June 16th, 2026 meeting. Do I have a motion?
This is Dave Hornacek. I move to approve the minutes of the June 16th, 2026 Planning Board meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Seth. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
I would like to abstain. I was not in attendance.
Approved with one abstention. There is no old business. New business items. We have a request for preliminary approval and recommendation for final approval of a site plan, King Crust / Treats and Beans, situated at 1105 Bowery Hill Road in the C1 zoning district. The owner is requesting a partial change in the use of the first floor of the building for a kitchen production area. In 2017, this property was granted approval for a site plan with the condition that any change in the usage and square footage of the building required a new approval. Mr. Pagnotti, I'm assuming you're here to represent the owner. Would you like to make a presentation or address the board in any manner?
Yeah, just here to answer questions. We need to go through the request. Happy to do that as well.
I know that planning staff has visited the building. We don't have an engineer's letter. Ian, can you summarize that visit?
Yes. So there were a number of items that came up to us both as we did our administrative review of the application and at the site visit. So I will summarize those. First and foremost, the application is filed for Treats and Beans. Actually, so I'll give some contextual history for the property too. So as you mentioned in the agenda item, there was a designated amount of square footage on the first floor for retail area and seating area for what became the King Crust Pizza parlor when they opened. The second floor was designated for company offices and storage area. The basement was for cooking equipment, coolers, other related production and preparation equipment. The Treats and Beans business opened a few years ago. They have some other open building code violations that they are currently at the magistrate for and have had some hearings on. Both planning and our zoning code enforcement staff did visit the building recently just to check in on those and see how things were going. Those code violations are still open and existing, so there are some things that need to be addressed on the property from an overall code and safety standpoint. Secondly, for the application as it is, one of the reasons for those requirements that were placed by the commission on this property as part of the 2017 site plan approval was the very limited amount of parking in the area. That the site has a few on-site parking spaces. There are 4 spaces plus an ADA accessible space that exist on the property. But being with frontage on Bower Hill Road, there's no public parking on Bower Hill Road. And then around the corner is the Mount Lebanon School District property for Hoover Elementary, which has their pickup drop-off go zone there. So there's not really parking within proximate availability on neighborhood streets either. So the uses of the building is really limited to what the on-site parking is able to support. They're not able to take advantage of any of the public parking language within our existing zoning code that says you can count public parking towards meeting your parking requirements because there is no proximate public parking that exists to the property. So that being said, that was why those parking requirements were placed on the property to begin with. What was submitted as part of this application was from the old Life is Sweet cookie bouquet business that was in the building. So the parking tabulation that's listed on page 2 of the application, or page 2 of the site plan application, has all the requirements from the cookie place that was there, not the pizza place. So that doesn't have the accurate reflection of what's, or it's doesn't have the actual reflection of what's being requested as part of this application. Now moving on to the actual application itself. So as part of our site visit, I will say that it was noted that what's being proposed on sheet A2 within the plans is actually current existing conditions on the first floor. There was work done that was done without permits to the first floor of the building. And so they are essentially seeking a retroactive approval for what was already done there. The new business was opened and that realignment of space was done, in violation of the existing letter and approval that was issued in 2017 for how square footage could be aligned within the property. Furthermore, what's shown for the proposed conditions on the second story of the building is listed as existing storage and existing office. Based on our site visit, the second floor of the building has a dining room in it with several tables and chairs that is not permitted as used for dining room space. And what's listed as existing office and what was approved in the 2017 letter as company office and storage area is actually being rented out to a third business tenant, which is a consulting and notary business. So as of right now, they have, there are 2 existing businesses in the structure. Treats and Beans has ceased operations temporarily. According to the sign on the building, it was as of, I believe, May 11th around there. And so the drawings as submitted do not accurately reflect the correct usage of the upper story of the building, which an office that is not company offices but is leased office space to another use would require additional parking calculations, and the additional dining room space would also require additional parking calculations as well. So the plans do not accurately reflect the existing conditions of the building, and if the plans were approved, the use of the building as it is now is not, the upper story especially does not detail what it's currently being used for. And I would assume that, I shouldn't assume anything, but I would say that, the upper story certainly needs to be addressed in the building plans and the parking calculations, or the upper story would need changed back to what was originally approved, which was storage space and company offices, which would be for the companies that exist in the building, not for a third party. I will also note on the proposed building plans on the first floor, there are some tables and chairs proposed in front of existing closet space so that those doors couldn't open, as well as some other arrangements that probably should be reviewed against the building code just to make sure they meet with all the building and fire code standards. So I would say that, there's some more work to be done here in clarification. The other thing that I will note finally, last thing, the application was filed by Treats and Beans, who has a different owner than the property owner, which was the one who received the prior approval. So as part of our review of the application and everything submitted, we did not see evidence that the Treats and Beans owner had permission of the property owner to file application on their behalf for alterations to the property. So we would also need to see some kind of proof of ability to apply to consider this for approval.
So Brian, are you engaged with Treats and Beans or King Crust?
I'm engaged with Treats and Beans.
Okay. So what Ian was just referencing, because you signed the application as an agent for Treats and Beans, you would need to be an agent for the building owner in order for that application to have validity. And then, so there's that issue plus the issue of the accurate plans, site plan and parking calculations. The whole issue of that third owner, a third user in that building, which I don't even know if you were aware of that. And obviously the building code issues, which I'm sure you're capable of resolving. So we do have to act upon this, so I will accept a motion to act upon it.
This is Dave Hornacek. I motion to table preliminary approval to allow the applicant the opportunity to submit a revised site plan reflecting the actual uses of all stories of the building and to address the outstanding building code violations as well as the items identified by Ian's summary.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So the motion has been tabled. So Brian, I think you know what. Ian will summarize the discussion here and get it to you and the building owner.
Yeah, we'll send you a letter that has everything I
Yeah.
just read through, yeah.
Thanks for coming tonight and good luck. Next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Just state your name and your address for the record.
Yes. My name is John Becker. I live at 750 Washington Road, and I park in the south parking garage. My purpose in being here tonight is to read into the record of this particular meeting a letter of June 3rd, 2026, which was delivered to the Mount Lebanon Commission at their June 3rd meeting. It was addressed to the commissioners. Dear Commissioners Ziegler, Izzo, Wilson, Petty, and Flynn. Washington Square Condominium and the municipality of Mount Lebanon have enjoyed a successful partnership for close to 50 years regarding the south parking garage that is attached to our building. You have provided safe, accessible parking for many of our unit owners, and we have in turn provided a steady and reliable income stream for the municipality to support the garage. We have been good neighbors to each other, and we think it is important to continue this successful relationship into the future. When we were informed that the municipality had plans to demolish the garage and potentially change the use of the area, we were obviously concerned that the design may change, or that we will have less accessibility to the same number of spaces, or that the new design may not connect to our building. We are, by way of this letter, informing each of you of the importance of maintaining the same number of parking spaces provided for Washington Square condominium, and that the new garage will be directly attached to our building as it does now. Also of importance, the EV charging stations that were installed in the south garage should remain part of any new plan, and additional plugs should be considered. Lastly, handicap accessible parking spaces should be located near our entrance on the 4th floor of the garage. Today, the condominium provides homes to 123 residential units with approximately 200 people residing in the building. In addition, several commercial businesses are located within our building that utilize the garage. These businesses employ more than 20 people and generate considerable traffic to our community. The South Garage is vital to the businesses that operate within Washington Square condominium. As a resilient community, Mount Lebanon has identified goals for the South Garage redevelopment project, including maintaining robust commercial and residential sectors, meeting community needs, while allowing the site to achieve its highest potential that maintains relationships between the site and existing facilities. The work involved in this project will create impacts across the community, but importantly, those located near the work that is being done. We respectfully ask that when plans are being considered, that the disruption that will occur be minimized to the extent that it can be. As a request for proposals is being considered for release soon, we urge the Mount Lebanon Commissioners, its Planning Board, Mobility and Transportation Board, and its Resiliency Advisory Board to offer their support to include comprehensive language in the request for proposals that will effectively provide for continuing access to Washington Square condominium from the newly designed space, and will provide an opportunity for those who want to obtain a parking permit in the redesigned facility, if they choose to do so, within a reasonable time before the facility reopens, providing public parking in the community. Thank you in advance for your cooperation with our request and for your support of maintaining the South Garage in a format that is mutually beneficial to Mount Lebanon and the unit owners and residents of Washington Square condominium. Respectfully, this is Gary Weiss, President, Washington Square Unit Owners Association Board of Directors. Thank you for the opportunity to share this letter with you.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. We look forward to seeing you as this project continues.
Indeed you will.
Anyone online? So the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Mount Lebanon Planning Board is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026 at 7 p.m. All municipal meetings now have a Zoom webinar component to enable residents to attend meetings either virtually or in person. That being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
That's Dave Hornacek, I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all. Take care.
Take care,
Thanks, Seth.
Yep.
I know, right?
So last week there was a planning commission